Okay, so it seems like VTubers, more namely saruei, has been kind of speaking out about a lot of issues that have been going on, especially over on some of the platforms in regards to censorship. Now, obviously we talked a bit about how VTubers have been fighting back against censorship with the previous stuff that went on with YouTube and Twitch and all of that kind of stuff, and there's many VTubers speaking out about it, but now it seems like more are speaking out about it, including saruei, who recently made a post which blew up quite a bit over on Twitter, about some stuff that she's had some issues with, and that is honestly, yeah, getting worse. Now, of course, she says censorship escalates across the EU, saying new posts flagged as sensitive content are no longer visible on profiles within certain EU countries. Previously, these posts would still appear, but with the restricted label. Now they're removed entirely from the profile view with no notice or warning, which is a big change that has already come out since the whole Twitter thing. If you don't remember, obviously, whenever this all kind of happened, and it said like due to local laws, like this post is like limited, it wouldn't allow you to see it, especially if you were in EU countries. It was mainly a problem with that, and obviously the UK as well. And this was a big issue because, of course, you know, people couldn't see half of the posts that were on Twitter. But I think the one thing that people were kind of not so, people kind of like, they didn't like it, but obviously it was better that they could actually see the post was there and it existed. They just couldn't see the actual image, right? But it seems like that has changed, as what saruei is saying here, saying testing in France, Ireland, and Belgium produced the same outcome. When accessing the platform from outside the EU, the post reappears and remains fully accessible. So yeah, obviously she's essentially saying that, you know, in these countries, France, Ireland, and Belgium, you are unable to see the post whatsoever. It affects the visibility, which obviously is very, very bad for a lot of the artists and stuff, especially that have a mainly EU audience, because it means their posts are not getting pushed, and you cannot see posts whatsoever. You can't even see that they've made a post. It just kind of removes it altogether. Whereas before, you could see that they made a post, you just couldn't see the image that was attached to it, right? And of course, yeah, that is a big issue, and a lot of people have been very, very mad about that going on, because obviously, yeah, I just think it's unnecessary, and of course, a lot of people just, you know, dislike it in general, right? And the only way to get around it is obviously through stuff like VPNs and whatever, and you go to like US sites which allow you to see it instead, which again I think is just such a it's so stupid, because, you know, people can get around it. It just creates extra hassle just for being able to see like a full Twitter feed. And yeah, obviously saruei did make a little bit of a video talking about it here, so we'll take a look, and then obviously we'll talk about it even further, as well as some of the responses from other VTubers and people like that.
Right, first time I make a video for everyone to see and understand what I'm talking about. I have my friend Typo, who made a nice illustration, and I was wondering, damn, where is it? I can't see it anymore. Then I was thinking maybe it got flagged or deleted, I don't know. So since I reached out to him, he confirmed that it was still available on his account. So when I switched my location with my VPN, the post reappeared, as you can see here. So now it seems like that in Europe, any new sensitive posts are now effectively wiped from people's profile. Here, let me switch to France to show you. All right. And here is this post, completely gone. It doesn't even say it's age restricted anymore.
It's like
disappears. It never existed in the first place. But the comments underneath are still available. That's crazy. We're literally getting censored, guys.
Yeah, so obviously that is absolutely crazy, right? Because, you know, it was first of all bad enough not being able to see the post and, you know, having a message saying that it's restricted, essentially. But now, yeah, they're literally hiding it from a lot of people that use the app in, you know, the EU, and it's only getting worse and worse and worse. And obviously this got 1 million views and 21,000 likes. A lot of people say, before any of normies tell us to stop being gooners, consider the broader implications. Removing posts purely based on interaction thresholds could also erase valuable information in the future, including stuff like political discourse or coverage of recent events, which 100% is true, right? It shows that they're not able to do this with just posts like this, but they're able to do it with any other kind of posts that they dislike, including, you know, stuff like political things and other things that are much more I guess, like valuable to people in terms of information, right? And of course, you got
Alright,
Lucy Pyer as
First time I
well.
make a
Hold up. Why is it
video.
Twitter's so dumb. Lucy Pyer there saying you'll be relentlessly censored, treated like a child. Other people will decide what you can and can't watch, and all of your data will be used to sell your product. Enjoy. And yeah, I think that is 100% the case, right? You're kind of treated like a child whenever it comes to the internet, especially if you are, you know, an adult, right? And you know, most people kind of browsing this stuff are adults. Well, I would like to think all of them are. Obviously, I know that's not the case, but you know, it's just one of these things where they're kind of restricting stuff that is, you know, completely legal. It's not like any of this stuff is like illegal to see or whatever, right? You know, it's like it's just art, and people are trying to view it, but apparently we're not allowed to, right? Even though it is fully allowed, and you know, you can see it, and like even if you were to go on a VPN and whatever, you're still allowed to do that. That's completely well within your right, which I think is crazy, right? And of course, you know, Rima saying literally 1984. A lot of people saying this seems to be Twitter doing the censorship, not some EU mandate. Most likely because the EU started an investigation yesterday. Note, none of typos or typos art before the 17th is hidden, even if they are similarly proportioned characters. And obviously, yeah, she puts a little up thing episode and VPN back on. This is ridiculous. What is up with all the censorship? What is happening with all of the ridiculous age verification practices and attempts to erase privacy? When I was young, people told me to keep my name private and never show my face online. Now it's the governments who are telling everyone to give this information away. Ridiculous, dangerous, and absolutely laughable. A team by default, sure. I'm absolutely sure there will be I'm absolutely sure a predator will mind being locked into a teen-only space. Absolutely. Verifying identity to prevent bots from spreading misinformation. I so sure, sarcasm, that nothing wrong will happen if everyone on the internet will know who you are. I hope more content creators will speak out about this. But yeah, I do think it's true, right? And a lot of people saying, yeah, finally time to get a VPN, huh? And yeah, that is the big problem, right? A lot of people have been, you know, resorting to using VPNs and stuff. But the problem is with VPNs is they're not as fast, right? You know, you got your regular internet and then you got a VPN, and sometimes it can just be a hassle, right? To kind of be appearing from like the US or whatever, and you know, it's just annoying because you can't like play games as fast as maybe you want to, and it's one of those things you have to like turn it on to see stuff specifically, right? Because sometimes it's nice to just kind of like scroll through your Twitter, you know, without any hassle or whatever. But now if you want to, like, you kind of have to go into it knowing that you want to see this kind of art and whatever. So you have to turn on VPN, then scroll, right? It's dumb. Like, you should just be able to scroll and see whatever you like, but you can't do that anymore because they're hiding it from you, which I just think, oh my god, it's so stupid. And, you know, people have to turn it off and on because it doesn't work with other stuff whenever you're trying to do things that require a better internet connection or whatever, right? And I think it is so stupid. Obviously, a lot of people have been quoting this as well, saying follow up to the censorship escalation in the EU. As pointed out by saruei, sensitive content is no longer being displayed, not just hidden by a grey box, completely removed as if they never were. No notice, no warning. In a follow-up to our testing, me and my team checked as many EU countries as we could to see if we can confirm this is most likely the entire EU. This seems to be a decision of X rather than the EU, though it seems connected to a wider push within the EU to censor content. And yeah, obviously, it is a thing over here as well, by the way. I don't think I've seen a this is a restricted kind of message in a very long time. They're just hidden. It's just gone, which obviously I think is absolutely insane. And obviously a lot of people saying the fact that this has gotten to the point where I, someone who lives in Syria, has left, has less internet restrictions on what I can see, do, or access than people living in first world Western countries is insane, right? And obviously you can imagine how much Syria dislike content like this, and they still allow their people to, you know, see this kind of stuff, which I think is crazy, right? A lot of people say for VPN users, they said, why Switzerland? It's not in the EU. The issue described in the post affects EU countries. France, Ireland, where new sensitive flag posts are completely hidden. Outside the EU, content remains visible. Switzerland is fully outside the EU framework. So I think they're suggesting that people connect to the EU, not the EU, the Swiss servers, because it's close, but also they don't have the rules in place like you know, the US do. So I guess there's a bit of you know, good advice. People saying for the Google Chrome bros, that post is literally 4 clicks away, which yeah is true, but again, we shouldn't have to do this, right? A lot of people saying, you know, it's fine, just use a VPN, but let's be real, you shouldn't have to do this. You shouldn't have to go through all of this work to do something that is completely allowed and completely, you know, you're allowed to do this. You're allowed to download a VPN and view the post. Like, it's not like some crime or whatever. You can view posts. It's totally fine. But the thing is, they're restricting you from seeing it anyways, despite it being fine, right? I think it's crazy, right? So obviously it just adds an extra step for people to really see this kind of stuff. And obviously, people say, I find it so draconian, how draconian EU laws have become. Literal third world countries have more freedom nowadays, which honestly, yeah, as they were saying, I think it's, you know, slightly true, right? Obviously they have more freedom, at least in the terms of Twitter, to actually be able to scroll and see whatever post they want, which I think is an absolutely insane comparison, considering how you know, progressive and whatever, you know, these countries try to make themselves, you know, out to be. When, you know, and let's be real, as that person said in the quotes, Syria has better freedom on Twitter than the EU, which I think is pretty insane, right? But hey, you know, obviously that is just a little bit of a message coming from Saruei, and I'm glad that she's speaking out about this. And obviously we have talked before about other situations of VTubers speaking out, and obviously Lucy Pye there as well, giving her kind of thoughts too. So again, hopefully this does, you know, kind of, I guess, start up a little bit of, you know, people talking about it and speaking up about it, because I do think it is pretty ridiculous. And yeah, obviously I'll keep you guys up to date if anything else does come from this, because it was a pretty popular post, right? But yeah, that's about all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kazo, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.